коллеги, добрый день. Спасибо
Good
большое,
afternoon.
кто пришел и кто
Thank you so much for the interest you have.
Очень насыщенная.
It's a long section. So much happening here.
Технологии, применяемые в
The
SOC.
previous speakers have covered some of the technologies applied at SOCs and the various processes. Now, this is the final presentation in this section. I will share, what we do, and I will share our experience of protecting a particular high-profile event. I will be talking about the way positive technologies experts have defended a particular multi-sport event called the Games of the Future.
Да, привет всем. Руслан
Hello, guys.
Ismailov. Я являюсь
I'm Ruslan Ismailov.
директором по технологиям игр будущего и также являюсь...
I'm the CTO of the Games of the Future. I'm also the CTO of a company called Sports Tech, which is the company that has developed the platform solution for the Games of the Future.
Меня зовут Ekaterina Nikulina.
I'm Ekaterina Nikulina. I work at Positive Technologies SOC. I mostly do expert support for our clients when it comes to security operations. The SOC we have is a part of a large team called Expert Security Center at PT. ETS, is a large team that knows a lot about incident investigation, ABT-related incident investigation. We are happy to provide our expertise to our clients, particularly those who want to develop their own SOCs. Also, our people are regularly involved in defending and protecting high-caliber, high-profile events and organizations. Well, our team has been involved in protecting this particular tournament. Almost like full house, the whole team was involved. Let me check if people in this audience have not heard about the Games of the Future. Or maybe you don't really know what they're about, or you just heard the name. Perfect. Now, Ruslan, over to you.
Да, что же такое игры будущего?
Right, so what is Games of the Future?
Здесь очень много...
I hope I don't scare you with this slide. So many figures here, but these are, in fact, the KPIs for the Games of the Future that ran between February 21 and March 3 in Kazan, in Russia. I'll give you just some figures so that you understand the sheer scale of the event. 312 teams, over 2,000 participants in total, 14 days of competition, 11 facilities, 116 countries represented, 21 type of sports. What are the Games of the Future? Now, this is in fact a competitive show, which brings together both classical and digital sports.
Этот новый формат, он, по сути, изменил подход к спорту.
This format, even if I say so myself, has changed the attitude to sport, and I feel very proud that we seem to be spearheading this process globally.
Более 800 часов прямых трансляций.
Over 800 hours of direct broadcasts. 3.5 billion views in total across a bunch of streaming platforms we've used. 260 locations were used to stream it all.
Что еще?
That's around the world. 32 foreign mass media outlets were covering the Games of the Future. 30 partners were involved, and they contributed to the total award fund of over 10 million USD. 12 countries were, the winners represented 12 countries. So the Games of the Future in Kazan were visited by over 300,000 people.
Ну и по технической части чуть следующий будет слайд, но я хочу сказать, что уже есть
I'll have an
интересное
extra slide on some technical issues, but I can assure you that
2025 год претендует 3 страны.
shown here are 3 countries that want to run the Games of the Future in 2025, including Kazakhstan, UAE, and Brazil. So in June, a decision will be made. Which one will host it?
Инфраструктура игр была развернута.
Now, the infrastructure for the games
ключевых операторов
was that of the biggest operators in Tatarstan, where Kazan is the capital, as Telecom and Rostelecom, but we also use the infrastructure of Megaphone and Beeline, some of the largest telecom operators in the country. The Center for Information Technologies of Tatarstan provided its own infrastructure to deploy the virtual machines needed for the games platform. The whole infrastructure was segmented into 5 segments: servers, data transfer, games, local networks, and broadcasting segment. Shown here are the key data points: 736 terabytes of data transmitted,
около 2500 портов на локальных сетях передач.
2,500 ports in local area networks.
6 каналов связи было организовано.
Were used 176 communication channels. I should probably mention here that every facility,
была построена как
in terms of network architecture, was effectively a double star.
Два географически разнесенных подключения канала связи от разных операторов.
That every facility had, network redundancy. It was connected to 2 different networks by different providers. At the peak,
В день открытия игр было порядка.
for example, on the opening day, we had about 3 million users or spectators. Over 4,000 cybersecurity events were addressed, but that will be covered by Ekaterina in more detail. Instead, let me tell you briefly about the platform that we developed specifically for the games of the future. This is a Russian IT platform for managing mass sports events.
Разрабатывалась на основе ключевых уже проведенных мероприятий.
It was developed on the basis of such major events we previously supported, such as championships and Olympics, meaning that we brought here the extensive experience we have developed elsewhere.
Технологическая платформа. Какие ключевые сервисы туда входили, какие модули?
Now, the key services it covered in the individual modules shown here, such as, data collection, processing, and storage system, accreditation system, qualifications, applications, incident management system, request management system, schedule management system, and finally, an information system for streamers and commentators.
Аккредитовали через систему аккредитации, пропустили более
Through this accreditation system, we were able to process 35,000 applications.
собрано спортивных данных.
Over a terabyte of sports data has been collected.
Более 2000 спортивных
Over 2,000 sports applications have been processed.
событий создано в системе управления играми.
Over 11,000 events were created using this system throughout the 2 weeks that it took.
Смотрели ролик. Сейчас мы его запустим.
Now I want you to watch the clip.
Платформа Спорттех.
As an organizer, what do you need to deliver the sports tournaments of the future? High-end technology and impeccable user support. Lucrative events are run only with the use of the most innovative and advanced technological and digital solutions. These complex programs and devices require skillful installation, integration, and management, both remotely and on-site. Our name is SportTech. We help organize games of the future, the unique international multi-sport event of the modern era. SportTech provides its high-end technological platform and services for its organizers. 1. Timing and scoring system. helps referees to instantly register live results and manage match statistics during competitions. 2. On-site and web results systems provides broadcasters with immediate match statistics from the field of play to create TV graphics and feed data to stadium scoreboards, media screens, and web-based resources. 3. Streamers Information System helps commentators and streamers to harness video content produced by broadcasters and to deliver their own casts. 4. Accreditation System provides local organizers with all necessary management tools for registering, processing, and issuing accreditations for personnel and participants. 5. Sport Entries and Qualifications System helps organizers to manage team submissions for competitions and to interact with participants in a single database seamlessly connected to the accreditation system. 6. Incident Management and Daily Run Sheet System provides organizers with convenient tools for incident registration, tracking, and follow-up, including minute-by-minute event operational planning. Our technological platform and solutions can also cater for organizers of a full spectrum of classic sports tournaments and e-sports events, from global spectacles to local competitions. It is fully adaptable and scalable to meet the needs of local organizers and country specifics. Sport Tech, the perfect match we make.
Ну и в окончании своего спича я хотел бы сказать, что большое
In conclusion of my speech, I want to mention that we certainly placed a lot of attention or made a big emphasis on cybersecurity. That's a new format, that's a new event. That's why with our partners at Positive Technologies,
много раз для того, чтобы привести
we have,
и обеспечить
done a lot of testing and invested a lot of thinking into making sure that the event is properly secured. Yes, thank you so much, Ruslan.
В общем, как вы могли уже убедиться, мероприятие действительно...
Now, as you must have noticed, it's a grand event, a unique one. I would love to spend much more time telling you about it, but I'm here to tell you about the security or information security aspect of it. Now, you may be wondering, what kind of cyber attacks should we, defend from if it's a sports event? Well, guys, this is certainly not the first time we're doing this. Even for sports events, we did the same for the soccer championship, for the Olympics, and a bunch of other sports events. We know from our own experience that, hackers and threat actors of all stripes are interested in those things. In many cases, they'll want to tarnish their reputation, but they also are not averse to making money or at least, making financial harm. And given what's happening geopolitically, certainly Russia has been seeing more than its fair share of attempted attacks, at least. Now, we are seeing robust growth in the total number of attacks across the field. Now, this is obviously a large event, an international event. Now, international events obviously tend to spark even more interest. Even before the start of the event, Western media started featuring certain comments about how important it is to put pressure on the Russian cybersport.
Скажем так, тоже западные представители указывали на игры будущего и на российский киберспорт.
So, for example, Russian cybersport and Russian games of the future were mentioned as, direct rivals. For example,
существовали также и внутренние факторы риска.
There were also some internal risk factors at play.
ИКТ-инфраструктура турнира, она...
The whole ICT infrastructure of the tournament is established and developed shortly before the start.
Нет, вот буквально незадолго до...
It's not like static infrastructure you will have in your company, for example, which means that you don't have much time to develop your cyber defenses. You also need to consider that in order to run a tournament and to support broadcasting, you will need a plethora of different systems. Most of them will be exposed on the internet. Many of them are related to each other. And you simply cannot isolate or insulate individual assets because of the nature of the event. Now, for all these reasons, defending the games of the future was not really a walk in the park. Well, we are not the one to be afraid of challenges. Moreover, this is something we've been doing for quite a long time. Now, the approach or the model we follow is called result-oriented cybersecurity. You must have heard about it. But briefly put, this concept is based on the idea, which is sort of easy to follow, that everything is hackable. There will be 0 days forever, and social engineering is as reliable as it has always been. So we cannot really protect against a hack as such, but we can certainly minimize the impact. So the overall methodology here was like this. We start by identifying the inadmissible events, like critical failures, as seen by the client. Something that,
Всего таких недопустимых событий было выделено
leads to like critical, if not failure, then at least critical damage as far as strategic objectives of the event are concerned. And next, based on this analysis, we develop specs, so to speak, for cybersecurity. Next, we develop a center for preventing and countering cyber threats. We develop processes. We identify the stakeholders, the process participants, their roles, how they should engage. Next, we check that it all works. We also check if the cybersecurity is up and running by doing cyber drills. And finally, we raise the defenses and we do 24/7 monitoring as long as the event is up and running.
Вообще ЦПК он всегда основывается на почти классической триаде технологий.
Now, cyber threat countering center, which is sort of like SOC, but not exactly the same. But SOC is so much shorter to say. So naturally, our SOC relies on some well-known positive technologies products, but also some newfangled products that have not been shown to the public before. So Max Patrol EDR was a very important element of it. So node-level telemetry was collected and provided to the CM system by EDR agents, and this proved to be much faster and much more effective than the traditional methods. Moreover, SOC analysts were able to react to incidents using EDR. And this is particularly important in the case of the games of the future, because it's important to remember that it's a multi-level system, because we got organizers and the athletes themselves and numerous suppliers and lots of assets to defend. We're not just talking about the DC here, or the game segments, or the data channels, but there are also boot camps across Kazan where teams would practice. So, for example, if some malware is discovered in a device of a particular, say, athlete practicing it at a boot camp, we were able to isolate their device remotely rather than barging in and confiscating devices. Now, Max Patrol VM was responsible for vulnerability management. Now, first, the golden image would be checked for vulnerabilities, would be patched. Then vulnerable software would be deleted, and then, this golden image would be installed on devices. Now, PT application firewall was used to obviously provide protection for external resources. Our own system would analyze all the traffic of the games, without exceptions. So we had the perimeter traffic cleansed of TLS. So we purposefully selected it this way so that we would have the decrypted copy and we would have perfect visibility of whatever's happening in the perimeter. Max Patrol CM was the very heart of our system, because it was the place, the heart chakra where everything got integrated. And until ERP was another very important segment of it. Max Patrol O2 was the kind of a co-pilot. It would look and it would double-check the security events, highlighting the activities that we consider to be most interesting. Now, you can look here at the assets we defended, and you will see that they're quite diverse. about processes. Process of a SOC will mostly be around incident management, so not surprisingly, you can see this stuff here. And most of our preparation revolved around that. Incident management or incident processing at games is a bit unusual because we had to have a single communication, so to speak, channel for all the participants of the whole thing. I'm talking here about the organizers and providers and regulators and other stakeholders. Now, the big question is, how do you do that? Are we allowing everybody into our IRB system? Didn't feel like a good idea. And we were wondering if we could use some instant messaging system, like a messenger. Sounded like a good thing, but it had to be local. So we decided to use Mattermost as the basic communication system. Now, we taught our solution anti-health system new functions so that it would send events or alarms to the right channel in Mattermost, and it also learned to take all comments from there to Anthill IRB so that Anthill is used as the single storage point. Now we fine-tuned all the tools with numerous internal tests and drills. Now, the core of the monitoring team came from L1 and L2 analysts of our SOC. They worked 24/7 addressing incidents in the IRB system. They also verified the events triggered by other data protection systems. We also sent some veteran experts to Kazan for the time of the games. These were L3 experts and also attack discovery experts, some forensics experts. So like I said, pretty much the whole team was involved. So they would provide all sorts of support to our analysts in terms of, threat hunting and discovery and investigation of complex incidents. And they were there in the technical operations centers in Kazan, where they would interact with the other stakeholders if needed.
Кто как и с помощью чего защищал от киберугроз игр будущего, вы теперь знаете.
Now you understand who and how defended the games of the future, and now let's look at the most interesting thing, the threats themselves.
За время мониторинга наш ЦПК
Throughout the monitoring time, our SOC was able to identify and quickly respond to roughly 200 InfoSec incidents. Total number of alerts we processed exceeded 4,000.
Скажу сразу, что большинство инцидентов, угроз обнаруженных.
Let me stress that most incidents and most threats we discovered were, quite widespread, quite similar to the stuff we regularly see in various monitoring projects that we have. At the same time, they often lead to pretty successful attacks if not addressed in time limits. You may find it difficult to believe it, but, our old friend back from 2017 is still out there. As we were preparing for this event, we were able to identify numerous attempts at exploiting Eternal Blue, as well as some double pulsar backdoor communication activities. Now, this was related to the legacy infrastructure of the organizers, and it had no direct relation to the facilities where we were running it. However, since our system collected all traffic, we're able to identify it and quell it. After additional analysis, it became clear that WannaCry and Beta software is there, and, we know that it does let movie exploiting double pulsar backdoors and exploiting Eternal Blue. So we identified 39 infected devices. They were isolated and removed, and the remaining infrastructure was double-checked for similar issues, and not a single device that was used for the games as such was discovered to be infected this way.
прям большого всплеска
Now,
атакующих.
based on our previous experience, we did expect a huge spike in terms of attacks, and it was validated. Every day we would notice at least 1,000 web attacks, but during the holidays and the opening and closing ceremony, the total number of attacks grew by a factor of 10. PT application firewall did actually register over 10,000 attacks per hour on the opening day. And they were quite diverse in terms of the attack nature and complexity and the geography they originated from. Some were aggressive automated scans, but they were also pinpointed vulnerability exploitation attempts. Well, we know that everybody's scanning everybody. Therefore, it's pretty difficult to see if it's, an advanced threat or, just a regular lazy bot doing its job. However, there were some interested targeted attacks that I want to tell you about. That's a specific example. On the 19th of February, we noticed a massive, aggressive scan of some of our services on the very perimeter. Now, the IP address was clean, no reports associated with it, and it actually belonged to Russian ISP. What's interesting about this activity is that user agent values would sort of rotate with every illegitimate request. In total, we're able to register nearly 1,100 values like this. Now, obviously, we blocked it with a firewall, and we sort of forgot about it for a day. But on the 21st of February, which was the opening day, so right before the opening ceremony, we noticed a series of obviously manual attempts of exploiting some fresh vulns. These attacks came from the same IP address, but with different user agents shown in the requests. Both us and the threat actors, they certainly know how WAFs work, so they know about rate uniting and blocking rules. So that's a bit unusual, really, that they were using the same IP address. Some more advanced systems also take UBA into account. They will also analyze the headers and geolocation, but in most cases it's driven by the IP address. That's why the most advanced threat actors will rotate all the IDs, such as user agent and IP address and headers. Less advanced threat actors will only change IP addresses because it's usually the IP addresses that get blocked, but they can keep using the same user agent. And there were cases when we were able to kind of catch them because of that. And sometimes bots and spiders, they will be using the same IP address and the same fields as long as they're not blocked. But, changing user agents while using the same IP address, that's a bit weird. I mean, it sounds meaningless because, this way they will be blocked because of the IP address. And in fact, by doing this, they will attract extra attention. Having too many user agents associated with the same IP is certainly an anomaly. Now, the address had a clean reputation and belonged to the pool of the same ISP. Now, that certainly rang a bell to us. So we realized that just blocking the IP address was not good enough. So we sent the information on the perp to the hosting to the ISP. And, very soon this activity stopped. We're also able to identify lots of crypto miners. Now, crypto mining software is not strictly speaking malicious. However, it does create extra load, it slows systems down, and much more importantly, these miners can be installed latently, and they can be combined with something more malicious. So we fight miners as well. So 18 nodes were discovered to have mining software. And all of them were related to the laptops used by vendors. So they simply rented these laptops, and they brought these laptops there. it out with mining software. There were also numerous cases related to violation of security policies, for example, using various RAT utilities. So naturally, we would track for that, and we would nicely talk to the users about never ever doing this again. The same is true for VPN and BitTorrent. We also had some unusual cases. For example, we discovered illegitimate network equipment like installation of prohibited routers. The way we found that was like this. There was a day when we identified anomalously high traffic volumes associated with a particular IP address locally, and then we were able to see numerous user agents in outbound HTTP traffic, and the number of operating systems used and diversity of DNS requests. So that obviously told us that was related to routers. However, IP addresses and MAC addresses could not be found in the list of authorized equipment, and the organizers didn't know about them either. So our investigation showed that there were switches and routers installed either by users or the vendors, just to extend local area network or simply make their life easier. So we blocked it, and we made sure they would not attempt more. I would love to tell you more about those incidents, but since time is limited, let me just tell you about the results. They're here. I'm not going to read them out, but the most important thing, something that we are happy we're able to deliver on, something that we are proud of, is that there was not a single cybersecurity incident that would result in significant damage to our clients. In conclusion, I want to thank everyone who's been part of the project, and also I want to thank the organizers who have entrusted us with ensuring the cybersecurity of the games of the future. We were happy to, lend you a hand, and we'll be happy to do it in the future. Thank you very much, Ruslan. Thank you, Ekaterina. Let's field just 2 questions, okay? Question 1. How did you articulate the inadmissible events, and how did you assess the level of risk?
Мы тщательно подходили к модели угроз вообще и...
Now, we were very serious about developing our threat model. We developed it with the participation of all the stakeholders.
Прорабатывали тщательно, то есть проводили комплексное тестирование.
And we also did some complex testing.
Хорошо, что вот все прошло без...
And I'm so happy that we're able to do it in a hassle-free way. Okay, thank you.
Заключительный, проводилось ли сканирование узлов в сети на предмет уязвимости?
Have you done any network node scanning to identify vulnerabilities? For sure, before the games, absolutely.
Спасибо.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, dear friends.